You know, everyone is talking about the Magnificent Seven. Google, Amazon, Apple, you know the names. Their power seems pretty obvious, right? But what if their rise isn't just another chapter in the story of capitalism? What if it's actually the end of the story? Today, we're diving into a really provocative idea, that a completely new type of capital is actively killing the free market, and a huge shift is happening in our economy that almost nobody is talking about.
Okay, so let's jump right in with this quote from Palantir co-founder Peter Thiel. Now, at first glance, this just sounds like something an old-school monopolist, a Henry Ford type would say. But the argument we're looking at today suggests Thiel is talking about something way more radical, an ambition that goes beyond just winning in the market to replacing the market entirely.
And to really get how radical this new ambition is, we first have to take a quick look at the two big ideas of capitalism that have pretty much dominated our thinking for the last 200 years.
So, for a couple of centuries now, our economy has kind of swung between two poles. On one side, you've got Adam Smith's dream of perfect competition, right? Just tons of small businesses all keeping each other honest. And on the other side, you have Joseph Schumpeter's idea of creative destruction, where giants like Ford or Apple would rise, totally dominate, and then eventually get knocked over by the next big thing. The system always relied on one of those two things, competition or destruction.
But here's where it gets interesting. The argument goes that today's tech giants, well, they aren't just trying to win inside those old frameworks, they're trying to get rid of the market itself.
This is the key. The goal has fundamentally changed. It's not about being the only one who sells books anymore. It's about replacing the whole idea of a public bookstore with a private digital kingdom, a cloud fief, where you, the owner, make all the rules. And this new model, it looks a lot less like a market and more like, well, something straight out of the history books.
And that brings us to the core of this whole thesis. And honestly, it's a bit of a bombshell. It's a direct comparison between big tech platforms and the Central Planning Committee of the Soviet Union. Yeah, you heard that right. So before we connect this to big tech, let's just be super clear on what Gosplan was. It was the engine of the Soviet command economy. It decided who got what, when they got it, and how much it cost. It was officially shut down in 1991, or so we thought. This theory argues it's back, just in a form no one could have ever predicted.
Let's make this feel real for a second. Imagine you're buying an espresso machine on Amazon. You don't walk into a busy marketplace with a bunch of sellers yelling out prices. Nope, you enter a silo. It's just you and the algorithm. And that algorithm has been watching you for years. It knows every click, every search. It doesn't show you the market price. It guides you toward the highest price it thinks you'll pay. And for that little service, it charges the seller a massive fee, a cloud rent, just for being allowed to exist in Amazon's world.
So, from this point of view, American capitalists have accidentally perfected the Soviet model. It's kind of wild. They've built a central planning system that actually works, and it's all backed by a surveillance machine that would make the KGB jealous. The only thing the Soviets were missing, really, was the tech, the algorithms and the data centers that we now call cloud capital.
Now, this whole new structure isn't just a different flavor of capitalism. The argument is that it's a completely new economic system, one that actually comes after capitalism. They're calling it Techno-Feudalism.
And this really gets to the heart of the change. I mean, think about the old-school capitalists, right? Edison and Ford. They used their money to produce actual things, light bulbs, cars. These new cloudalists, as they're called, use their capital to produce something way more abstract and way more powerful, the ability to command our behavior.
This new term, it really nails it. In this system, we're all kind of digital vassals. Every single time we click or search or write a review, we're basically providing free labor that makes the cloud capital more powerful. And in return, the tech lords who own that capital get to extract these cloud rents from the actual producers who are just trying to operate inside their digital kingdoms.
And it's not just us or small businesses. This dependency now goes all the way up to the state itself. I mean, governments are increasingly outsourcing their most basic functions. We're talking health records, military software, to the cloud platforms owned by Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. They are literally renting back their own ability to govern from these new corporate tech lords.
So, what does this all add up to? Well, the thesis presents a pretty sobering conclusion about what's really going on with our economy.
So when you actually lay it all out, the parallels are kinda undeniable.
You've got a central planning engine, the algorithm. You've got prices being set completely outside of market forces. You have massive surveillance of everyone involved and a deep systemic dependency of both businesses and even the government. The structure looks shockingly similar to the old Soviet model.
And that leads us to the ultimate claim of the whole argument. It's not that capitalism is in some kind of crisis. It's that capitalism is already over. It gave birth to this new form of power, this cloud capital, that grew so dominant it ended up consuming its own parent, replacing free markets with these centrally planned digital fiefdoms.
And that leaves us with a really provocative final thought. For centuries, we've been debating the future of capitalism. But according to this thesis, that debate is already over. The real question we should be asking now is, if we don't live in a capitalist system anymore, what do we call this system we are in, and what are its new rules?